Good morning, students. Let's start with a new topic, jump statements. So, students, in the previous lecture, we have studied different looping statements where we have studied while statement, do while statement, and for loop statement. And after that, we have started jump statements where we have studied that why we use jump statements. We use jump statements when we have to jump the control from one location to another location. And after that we have studied break statement where we have studied that we use break statement to break the condition or to move the control out from that location. Now the next statement of jump statement is continue statement. Now what is continue statement? Continue statement is used to continue the loop with its next iteration. So for example, if we want to as we have studied break where we use break to end the process, but sometimes we need to continue the things and we have to continue the process for this we have facility that we can make use of continue statements. So it allows us to continue the loop with its next iteration. So in other words, we can also say continue statement skips any remaining statement in the current iteration and immediately passes the control to the next iteration. The continue statement that does not terminate the loop. So as the word is continue and the meaning is same, that it does not terminate the loop, rather it only terminates the current iteration of the loop. So it only terminates the current iteration but does not terminate the whole loop. So that is continue statement. Now the next statement of jumping statement is go to statement. And why we use go to statement? Go to statement is used when we have to jump the control from one location to different location in two ways, either forward or backward. So go to statement can be used anywhere within a function or a loop. So as the name suggests, go to statement transfers the control from one part to another part in a program which is specified by a label. So that is go to statement. Now with this we have finished that part. Look at this diagram. C++ control statements. So we have finished this part. We have completed selection statements, iteration statements, and jump statements. Now we have to move to the next part of C++. The next topic of C++ is functions. Now what is function and why we use function? This is very important topic of C++. So students, the reason that why we use function is programming language provides us facility that we can make functions and we can reuse it again and again. So the main property of function is reusability, which is a very great thing which is provided to us by programming language. So it simplifies the human task to a greater level, and as it simplifies the task, it provides a lot of advantage to the human, and we can work efficiently and effectively in a very less time. So overall it reduces the time and cost. So these are the two main factors that why we use functions. Now what is a function? A function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. So you can also pass data to a function. We can also pass data to a function and we call it as parameters. We also call it as arguments. Functions are used to perform certain actions and they are important for reusing the code. So as I have already explained you that we use functions because we can reuse it again and again. So as when we can reuse the thing again and again, so it is a very beneficial thing for us. So once we have defined the code, then we can use it again and again. So this is the advantage of using functions. Every C++ program has at least one function, which is main function, and all the most trivial programs can define additional functions. So students, when I have explained your program, I have explained you that we make use of void main function. So main is a function, and we mostly use that function in each and every program. And apart from that, we can also make use of another functions. We have different categories of function. We have built-in functions, we have user-defined functions, so we can use it accordingly. Built-in functions are the functions which are provided by the language, whereas user-defined functions are the functions which are defined by the user. Now the syntax of function. So if you want to use a function, then what is the syntax you have to follow? See students, whenever you want to use any function, anything in the language, you must know that what is the syntax, otherwise you won't be able to use that thing in your program. So you have to follow that rule properly. So let's start with the syntax of the function, how we have to write the function if we want to use. So the very first line is return type function name. Return type is the type that what type of value it will return. So you have to give the return value like integer, float, string. You can give any type of return value. Then function name. Function name, you can provide any name according to your choice. For example, I want to write sum as a function name, so I can write integer sum. In the parameters, you have to give the value like 7. I'm providing value 7, so this is parameter. So you can provide number of parameters according to your uh, requirement. And then curly bracket close, curly bracket start, then you have to write the body of the function, and then curly bracket close. So this is the syntax of a function that you have to follow while writing a function. Function declaration. Now there are two things, function declaration and function definition. So whenever you have to use a function, it is mandatory that you have to declare a function and you have to define a function. So there is a difference between declaration and definition. So I have already explained you that what is declaration of variables in the starting videos, that whenever we have to use a variable, we have to declare that variable. So similarly, when we have to use a function, we have to declare that function. So function declaration tells the compiler about a function name. So by this way, we can tell the compiler about the name of the function and how to call the function. And the actual body of the function can be defined separately. So you have to define the body separately. Definition is different, declaration is different. Once you have declared a function, then you have to give the body inside the curly brackets. The function declaration defines a function with the specified parameters. Return type function name parameter list. So this is the syntax that you have to follow while writing function declaration. Return type, whatever you want to give return type. Function name, you have to write the name of the function. Parameter list, you have to give the list of parameters. Then you always have to give the list of parameters in the bracket, and that ends with semicolon. So that is declaration of function. Next is function definition, how you have to define a function. Function definition actually provides the actual body of the function. So if you have to provide the body of the function, you have to write that part inside the function definition. Now if you want to define a function, you have to follow the proper syntax. So the syntax of the function definition is return type, function name, parameter list. So return type can be any return type, whatever you want to choose. Function name is the name of the function. parameter list. Inside the parameter list you have to give the parameters, and inside the curly brackets you have to give the body of the function, and then curly bracket close. So this is what is function, what is the syntax of function, how we can declare a function, and how we can define a function. Now I have taken an example of C++ program to discuss the concept of function declaration and function definition. So let's start with this program. I have taken example to calculate the sum of two numbers. Hash include iostream.h integer sum. In the bracket there are two parameters, integer x and integer y. So this is, I have declared a function. Now integer main, start with the main function. In the curly bracket, integer a is equals to 10, integer b is equals to 20. So it means we are assigning a value 10 to variable a and 20 to variable b, and integer c is equals to sum a comma b. So it means we are calling a sum function that we have already declared with the parameters a and b, and c out c. So it, a curly bracket close, it will print the result of c. Now what is the logic of this program? This we want to calculate the sum of two numbers with the parameters a and b, and we are calling the function that we have already declared. Now start with the main function, that is function definition. Integer sum, in the bracket this is integer x and integer y. So this is the function definition. Again, in the function definition, integer is the return type, sum is the name of the function, integer x and integer y are the parameters, and the body of the function is return x plus y. So it means the logic of the program is it will add two numbers x and y and return the value. So this is function definition. So the value of the x, it will get the value of a, that is 10, and the value of y, it will get the value as 20. 20 plus 10, that is 30. They will return the result 30 to variable c, and the 30 result will be displayed on the output screen, and you will get the output as 30. So this is how you have to declare a function and define a function. Now let's move to next topic, which is also related to functions. Function calling, that is calling a function. Now what is calling a function? See students, as I have already explained you why we are studying functions, because functions provide us facility that we can reuse the code once we defined it, and we can call the functions whenever it is required. So as we have to call the function, so what are the different methods available? What is the criteria that we have to follow to call a specific function? So in this topic, calling a function, we have to study the different methods which are available to call a function. So functions are called by their names. So we can also call a function by their name. If the function is without argument, it can be called directly using its name. So if there is a no argument in the function, then we can call a function by name. But if a function has an argument, then we have two different ways to call a function. So firstly, we have two conditions. If there is no parameter in a function, then we can simply call it by a name. This is a very simple procedure that we have that we can done easily in a very simple way. But the second condition is, if there are parameters in a function, then we have two ways to call a function, and the name of these two ways are call by value, call by reference. So look at this example that we have already discussed. In this example, there are parameters in the function, and we can call the function by using call by value and call by name. So according to this example, we have called a function by using name. So call by value, call by reference. We also call by reference as call by name. Call by value, call by reference. So these are the two methods. Now what is call by value? So when we call a function by using a value, then we call the function as a call by value. Now what is call by reference? Call by reference is when we make use of reference, when we make use of names to call a function, then that is known as call by reference. So look at this example. In this we have called a function by using call by reference mechanism. So with this students, we have finished the topic of functions. So in today's lecture we have studied that what is function, how we can declare a function, how we can define a function, what is the syntax to declare and define a function. Next is how we can write a program to make use of a function and how we can call a function. After that we have studied a small topic, that is calling a function, where we have studied two ways to call a function, call by value and call by reference. So that was all about the function. So we have finished this topic function. Now we have to start with the next topic of C++. The name of next topic is array. Now what is array and why we use array? Array is basically a data structure, and we use array data structure to store the data. Now see students, whenever we deal with data, we always require some type of data structure to store the data. Every type of data structure has different properties. So whenever we use any of the data structure, we have to follow the rule of that data structure to store the data, to access the data, to modify the data, and to retrieve the data. So array is one of the data structure that we use to store the data. Now in this topic we have to study array in detail, that what is the procedure that we have to follow while storing the data in an array. So let's start with the array. So array is defined as set of homogeneous data elements. So in array we store homogeneous data elements. An array is a group of elements that share a common name, that are differentiated from one another by their positions within the array. So in case of array we store elements with we can store elements by referring their index number. So look at the example, look at the image that I have taken. So for example, there is an array whose name is ARR. You can set the name of the array according to your choice. So ARR is the name of the array, and there are total 6 blocks in an array. So it means we can store 6 elements in an array. So the size of the array is 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can store elements in the blocks. So as I have told you that in array we refer every element with the index number. It means for example, I have stored the element A, B, C, D, E, F in the array. So the location of A is 0, the location of B is 1. So this is how we can call that in array. We can refer any element with the index number. So it is a data structure which allows a collective name given to be a group of elements which all have the same type. So array provides us facility that see students, as we have studied functions. So in the functions we have studied that whenever we have to use a function, we have to declare a function, we have to define a function, and then we can reuse it again and again. Similarly, array provides us facility. We have to declare an array only once, then we can refer all the elements of the array by using a single name. So that is array. Next is syntax of array. What is the syntax of array? If we have to write array, or if we have to use array in a program, then what is the syntax that we have to follow? So the syntax of the array is data type. Data type means what type of data you want to store. You have to declare that data type. You can declare integer, float, string. It is your choice. It depends upon the requirement of the user. Next is array name. You have to provide the name of the array. You can provide any name, and then in the bracket you have to give the size of the array. So what is the size of the array that you want to create, and then semicolon. So this is the syntax of the array. So you have to give the data type, name of the array, and the size of the array. So the array which is declared as above is called single dimensional array. So in the next video I will explain you that what is single dimensional array, what is multi-dimensional array, what is two-dimensional array. So the syntax that here I have taken is example of single dimensional array. So students, that's all for today. Tomorrow we will start with the next topic of array. So that's all for today.